everybody. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Monique and welcome to Medora Budgets. I'd like to thank anybody, ooh, I gotta scoot closer, who liked or commented on any of my videos, and especially those that have chosen to subscribe to my channel. Truly started this as a way to hold myself accountable, but I understand, recognize, and appreciate the community as a whole. So if you're rocking with me on this journey, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't made up your mind yet, sit with me for a spell. At the end of this video, if it's content you find valuable or enjoyable, please feel free to subscribe. It's myself and Sweets, married with a whole bunch of kids, trying to figure out our future, family, and finances, so the decisions we're making now won't negatively impact us in the future. Today is Friday the 11th, and we're about to get out to do some family fun things. But I did want to come here and go ahead and set the budget for next week and then talk about the expense tracking that we did, especially for the week of spring break, while most of that we have been out of town. Okay, so here we go. This is Big Bertha. You know, she handles everything for me. And so the ring did clear. AHS came out as well. We did have Spotify to come out. You know, Fubo TV is paused right now, so it shows 0 amount. So that's right. BET Plus came out. Lawn Love did come. This is their first time coming through, so we paid them their money. Property insurance came out. Nelnet was paid, and then tithes taken care of, auto taken care of, mortgage put to the side. So everything is coming out as expected. Nothing to Audible because this is the month we skip. Paramount, I did see that for $12.99. That came out. I paid my Ally credit card after my interest hit. If you guys don't know, I use typically my Ally credit card for money that I'm going to pull out of my high yield savings account, but I leave it in there until the 9th when my new cycle starts with Ally, get my interest, and then I pay the card. So I did take care of that. And that is it. Today is the 11th and we haven't had anything else to come out. So everything is tracking the way that it is supposed to. So Big Bertha is good to go. Go ahead and sit her up here to the side. And now let's talk about the budget. All right, so let's see what we got. Alrighty. Hold on. You know, I hide this, but y'all could probably tell me what it is by now because I don't always remember to do that. Anyway, so all of those things have cleared. Next, no spend days. Now, you guys might, I'm gonna turn it long way. You know, I got this from Beautiful Budgets. It's a freebie that she has on her Ko-Fi shop. And so I did really well the first week of the month, which I am excited about. And I kind of knew the rest of the week wasn't gonna go too well, or the next week wasn't gonna go too well, which is the week we're in now. A lot of spending on Saturday and Sunday when I first got out of town, things that we needed to buy that we forgot, had to get some extra bibs for Bean, and then some gripe water, and then just stuff, right? And then dining and gas as well. And so you see that spending continued. I got home on Wednesday, so we did eat out on Wednesday. I had to get some groceries yesterday. But we've slowed up as far as the spending is concerned. Now, I will spend money on Friday. Definitely got to spend money on Saturday to finish our prom prep. My hope is starting on Sunday, the 13th, I'll be able to get a lot of these days as no spend for week 3. But we shall see. All right, so that's the way things are looking as far as the no spend is concerned. Let me turn back. Now, this gives me the overall for my variable spend, but we're going to go to my expense tracking that I did specifically, and there you go. And I'm going to turn this long way as well. So this is what I'm doing now. I am keeping everything on one form. I'm just tired of having multiple trackers that I'm having to keep for multiple accounts. So what I've decided to do is track everything on the same form. And what I've done is changed up the form a little bit. So this is from the Budget Moms workbook, Budget by Paycheck workbook, the PDF format. And I'm using it in the digital planner with an application called Noteful. I just blocked out whatever the category names were for these columns, and I'm treating them differently over here. So what I'm doing is putting all of the every transaction that I have, to include utility payments, debt payments, anything at all will get documented here. I give the category because, you know, I do track my categories to see how much I'm spending. I then do whether or not it was a withdrawal, which in this case it should be. I'm not going to put any deposits on here or credits on here or refunds on here, just the withdrawals. And then here is if I pulled it from my bills account, which you see here. Account means I pulled it from the bills account. Cash means I had cash on hand to handle it, and I went ahead and documented that. CC means I used my Chase credit card to pay for it. So I'm using this column to document where that money came from, and then I'm checking it off over here, and I can check this one too. I'm checking it off over here once it actually clears the account. So I might pay it on one day. That doesn't mean it's going to clear out of the bank the next day, or it clears on the credit card the same day. So I'm going to check off once it actually clears, and then I'm going to keep a running total down the side just for that week. So these are not all tied to a credit card. I didn't spend $1,738 on the credit card, but overall I had $1,738.54 worth of expenses. So once I document all of the different transactions that I had, document where they came from, color coordinated it based on the color set aside for that particular category, then I come down here at the bottom and I wrap everything up for each of the colors or each of the categories. And all of these numbers for the colors should end up being this amount, which they did. And that's my way of making sure that I've documented everything. The totals of all of my categories should total this number right here, and they do. All right. The other things that I'm keeping track of, because remember, I did not do a great job of this in the previous month, but tracking sinking funds, or where I'm moving money or transferring money. So for a couple of expenses, I took money out of my bills buffer account to cover the cost of those. And then for sinking funds, I took $20 from Corinne, and that was Corinne's envelope, and that was in cash. And then I took $80 from my buffer and moved that over to help pay off the credit card for an expense. So when I looked at my first week 1 of spend, I did document that I have $100 from my sinking funds that I used. And then the only other thing is variable spend. I like for that to be around $255. And in this case, it was $304.07. And I know where that mainly came from. If you look here, food, I was over because I like to give myself $125 for groceries for a week and $30 for dining. So that should have been a total of $155. I was over by $40 as far as the food was concerned. And then auto as far as my gas. And I did not document out how that was different, but I usually give myself $50 for gas. And here I spent $24.38. I spent $20.60. I spent $14.09, and I spent $13.76. So I spent $72.83 in gas when I normally spend about $50. So that's where that overage came from. So I know where it came from, but I do need to track how off I might have been for my variable expenses. So that's where it is. Also, what you'll notice when we go through the budget and finish those numbers, which we're going to do now, is that I did have some unbudgeted categories, and I need to go back to tracking those. I haven't had as many of those in the recently, but I have this week, and so I did need to make sure that I documented those down. So let's talk about what we had as far as the budget is concerned. So rollover was actually $253.50 plus the $1,500 for the bills account that went into the bills account, $825 that went into variable, and the $50 for Micah. That was $2,628.50. So that was less than what I expected. $2,628.50. As far as the fixed expenses are concerned, you've got $430 that are set aside for mortgage. I've got $255 for auto. I've got $12.99 for Paramount. We didn't have to worry about anything for Audible. I have $74.99 for Lawn Love, and then I have $172.25 for my property insurance. And then the unbudgeted amounts, those had to do with not just travel, but also I needed to contribute some money towards the family reunion plans. And there was a contribution that I made to the church as well. So when you add all of those into the mix, again, unbudgeted, that's why they're in red. I came up with the total of $1,243.77. And that's what you see there. So we're going to subtract that from the 2,628.50. And that leaves me with $1,384.73. I contributed $250 as I planned for variable expenses. That brings me down to $1,129.73. For debt, my debt came in at $256.55. So I gave a 40-something cents less for Nelnet. You know, it was an auto draft. 100 still went to Citi credit card, and then another 75 contributed to Citi as well as an extra debt payment. So we're going to subtract that $256.55, and that's going to leave me with $873.18 for leftover so far. And then for my savings goals, I contributed $5 less to medical, but I contributed $5 more to November birthday. So that should have kept me at $365 total. But I forgot I still have that bills buffer that's coming out. I keep forgetting it. And it's just $5 going over into that bills buffer account, which has turned out to be a blessing because if you remember on the expense tracking page I showed you, I pulled $45 from that bills buffer to help account for some of the costs, some of these unbudgeted costs that I had. So that totaled $370. So we're going to subtract that $370. And that means I'm rolling over $503.18, which was definitely less than what I anticipated. But there you go. All right, so we're going to take that $503.18. I'm going to move that on over to our next page. So we're going to budget with that $503.18. And I transferred, what did I tell y'all? I transferred $45. So I transferred $45 over. Yeah, I transferred $45 over from Bill's Buffer. So I need to add that into this mix. $45. So that gives me a total of $548.18 that I am working with. Okay. All right. So that $45 is being accounted for in this week's budget. And this week will run from April the 11th to April the 17th. But it is to pay back money that I spent in the unbudgeted category here, this $43.49. I wanted to account for that. So I did do that through moving that money over. And so I'm going to show it here, although it's taking care of an expense from last week. All right, so my total is $548.18. I still have AT&T that needs to come out at $96, iCloud for $3, HP Inc. for $2, Apple Care for $4, and then water, I just do a blanket $40 for that one. And so we'll see how much it ends up being, but that's all I have. All right, so that's a total of $145. And so let's do the math on that. 548.18 minus 145 equals, that's going to give me 403.18. All right, good. Next, 255. So I did contribute $255 towards variable expenses. So let's go ahead and take that off. And when I say contribute, I just take it and I put it on the Chase Freedom card and I spend it from there. So that amount typically doesn't change. So that's $148.18. I'm going to skip debt because I don't know how much I'm going to have left over. I do now, but I wasn't sure at the time. So at $148.18, remember that Bill's buffer account, I put $5 in there. So let's take away 5. And that should leave me $143.18. Now we'll bring that down here. And for extra debt, I'm going to say $50. So I'm going to get $50. If these numbers are right, Lord, I hope they're right. I should be able to get $50 to extra debt. And that should leave me a leftover of $93.18 that I should be rolling over to my next paycheck that I'm going to receive on April the 8th. So that's how everything lays out. So the next thing you will see, this video will probably come out on Monday. The next thing you'll see is a $50 extra debt payment on my transfer Tuesday to my Citi credit card. All right, I think we are good to go. Thanks everybody for your time. You guys have a good one.